broadcast on every frequency the Dominion used. "This is Earth. You have taken Halcyon IV. You will give it back in blood." When the fleets moved, it began in the border systems. Dominion outposts, once unchallenged, suddenly fell silent. Patrol fleets vanished without a trace. Stations that had stood for decades were found gutted, their command staff nailed to their own banners. The XHOR panicked. They sent reinforcements, 40 ships, then 80, then 200. None returned. And then the humans arrived openly. Over the skis of Velith Prime, 100 Terran warships emerged from the dark. They were not sleek like Dominion vessels, nor gilded with decoration. They were iron, raw and grim, their hulls carved with the names of Earth's fallen. They blotted out the sun. Dominion fleets tried to respond. They charged in with laughter still in their throats. The first human volley erased them before the laughter finished. No warning, no negotiation, no mercy. Everywhere the humans advanced, the stars went dark. Judgment by fire. The galaxy had never seen vengeance carried out on such a scale. On Javrek, the Dominion's fortress world, orbital defenses activated the moment Terran signatures appeared. They had billions of citizens, countless guns, an unbreakable shield grid. It lasted 43 minutes. Human dreadnoughts poured fire across the surface until seas turned to steam. The shields melted. Cities cracked open like eggs. When the bombardment ended, Javrek was not a fortress. It was glass. On Zurith's spine, a world carved into a colossal space reef, the Dominion tried to bargain. "Spare us, we had no part in Halcyon's massacre," they begged. The Terran fleet replied with silence, then descended in waves. The reef shattered, fragments spinning into the void like broken teeth. It was not war, it was erasure. Humanity did not conquer, they did not enslave, they simply destroyed. And still they marched deeper. The fall of the warlords. Warlord Tzerak, who had laughed loudest at Halcyon's death, made his final stand on Varith IX, the Dominion's throne world. From his palace tower he looked to the skis and saw them, an ocean of Terran steel filling the heavens horizon to horizon. It was not a fleet, it was a storm. Terran ground forces descended like meteors, tanks that crawled on claws of molten metal, infantry armored like walking fortresses, weapons that burned so bright they left shadows burned into stone. The warlord screamed for his armies to fight. They fired everything, missiles, lances, void saws, nothing mattered. The human soldiers advanced step by step, unblinking, unstoppable. When they breached his tower, Tzerak expected speeches, accusations, some declaration of justice. Instead, they spoke only one word before cutting him down. Halcyon. A galaxy in silence. When the fires died, the Dominion was no more. Worlds were gone, fleets erased, leaders executed. Entire star systems that once bore the XHOR sigil were now marked only by silence. The Galactic Council trembled. They had seen empires fall before, but never like this. Not with such speed, not with such coldness. The lesson spread in whispers. Never provoke Earth again. Merchants who had once mocked human caution now avoided even speaking their name aloud. Diplomats who once rolled their eyes at Earth's long patience now bowed in silence when Terran envoys entered the chamber. Because all now knew. Humanity could wait centuries, could endure insult after insult, could hold their hand back while others lashed out. But if ever that hand was forced, if ever the line was crossed, Earth would not merely retaliate. They would erase. The final echo. In the ruins of Halcyon IV, Where the forests were ash and the oceans boiled black, Terran engineers returned. They rebuilt not as mourners but as guardians. Monuments rose where cities once stood, great pillars of stone engraved with the names of the lost. One monument bore the words spoken by the Terran High Command in their only official statement. Humanity is patient, humanity is kind. But humanity does not forgive. And across the stars, in every council chamber and palace, rulers looked to those words and felt their hearts tighten with dread. For the galaxy now lived with a truth carved in fire. The cost of harming humanity was not victory, not conquest, not gain. The cost was extinction. Fire upon the innocent. The skies above New Carthage burned crimson as the alien warships descended. The colony had been peaceful, a garden world carved out of wilderness by human hands over a century of sweat and sacrifice. Children played in the courtyards, farmers tended to their fields, scientists cataloged the life that had bloomed there. But to the Tarkal Dominion, it was prey. Their fleets entered orbit without warning, their commanders sneering at the idea of diplomacy. Humans spread like weeds, their admiral spat across the bridge. Let us cut them before they root deeper. Orbital fire rained down. The colony's defenses, minimal and ceremonial, were vaporized within minutes. Civilians ran for bunkers, but the Tarkal weren't here for war. They were here for a lesson. Cities melted into glass under plasma bombardment. The oceans boiled as precision strikes tore apart power grids and spaceports. On the Dominion flagship, laughter echoed as their soldiers reported back. 100,000 dead in hours, millions more scattered, screaming into void. It was not battle, it was execution. The Admiral's final order: erase their records, leave nothing. This colony never existed. And so New Carthage fell in silence. The mockery of empires. News of the slaughter rippled across the galaxy. Alien empires whispered in private chambers, some in shock, others in quiet approval. Humanity was young, barely 3 centuries among the stars. They had expanded quickly, but without the military might of the ancient powers. They were explorers, traders, settlers, soft, in the words of many. The Tarkal Dominion hosted feasts to celebrate their strike. In their courts, they toasted the burning of a human world as a demonstration of dominance. Earth will do nothing, one Tarkal noble declared, raising his cup. They lack the teeth to bite. They will howl, but the stars do not fear the howls of prey. Even rival empires smirked. Humanity's diplomats begged for justice in council halls, but the words fell on deaf ears. To the galaxy, this was the natural order: predators above, prey below. Across holonets and forums, laughter spread. The annihilation of New Carthage became a tale told with smirks. Memes and songs mocked human grief. The Dominion's broadcasts declared, "Let the galaxy see. Earth builds homes where it is not wanted. We will tear them down." They believed the story ended there. But in the shadow of Earth, in silence and steel, another story began. The silence before the roar. On Earth, mourning turned to something else. Images of charred cities and burned children spread not only through human space but back to the homeworld. Billions watched in silence. There were no protests, no debates, no empty speeches. There was only a cold, collective decision. The halls of the Terran Assembly fell quiet as leaders signed a single order. One word, stamped in black across every channel of command: retaliation. From Luna to Titan, from the shipyards of Mars to the hidden forges orbiting Jupiter, the old war machines stirred. For a century, humanity had spoken of peace, but they had never dismantled their legacy. Buried deep in ice and rock were dreadnoughts whose names had not been spoken in generations. Engines long silent began to thrum with power. Fleets that had been whispered about as myths emerged from the void, black-hulled and bristling with weapons the galaxy had forgotten. There was no broadcast of intent, no warning, only a transmission sent into Dominion space, 3 words long, in a voice so calm it chilled every soul who heard it. "We are coming." The storm of retribution. It began at the edge of Tarkal space. Human fleets arrived in silence, weapons already hot. Their dreadnoughts, massive constructs of steel and fury, blotted out suns as they dropped from warp. The first Dominion garrison never even fired. A single salvo turned their orbital defenses into ash. Cities that had been laughing the week before now screamed as human rail cannons cut continents open. Then came the soldiers. Armored divisions landed like meteors, shock troops clad in exosuits the Dominion could not pierce. They moved with cold precision, not conquering, not enslaving, erasing. Every planet that had celebrated New Carthage's fall